Chess.com's new cap statistics reveal who the real favorite is when Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura go head-to-head on Thursday. The results may surprise you. Robert Hess and I then review the best moves and biggest blunders that these two made on their way to the championship round, just before Alexandra Botez and I put Chess.com's bias aside and decide whether this event is really the biggest thing to ever happen to online chess. Gary Kasparov may have a thing or two to say before it's all said and done. As we get ready for the event that just might break the internet on Thursday, it's time for you to get ready for all the snacks you'll need to make sure your focus doesn't break. It's ChessCenter. The two pre-tournament favorites, two of the best blitz and rapid players in the world, are getting set to face off. No further introduction needed for Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura, but Bobby Hess is here to give us the introduction on what he feels these two players bring to the table in regards to their strengths in this special Move of the Week edition previewing the Grandmaster Blitz Battles final. So Robert, dive in here to tell us exactly why you think Magnus Carlsen is such a stud on the board.
Well, Danny, for my first special move from the semifinal here is the move pawn to f6. Magnus Carlsen understands that's the quality of the pawns rather than the quantity, so he sacrifices another. He's already down one, and the point is after g takes f6, bishop takes h6, creating an outside pass pawn. This h-pawn will roam free. So Grishuk was forced to take bishop takes f6, but unfortunately after rook takes d6, now the c5 pawn is hanging, and the pawn on b6 will roam free to become a queen.
Magnus went on to convert this endgame, but it's not all just grinded out long endgames for the Norwegian world champion. He's also capable of some pretty sweet tactics. Tell everybody what he played in this position.
Well, it looked like Grishuk was defending well in the position, but not so fast. Rook takes g3. Magnus Carlsen shows off his tactical wizardry. And after h takes g3, rook takes h1. The rook is actually immune because after king h1, knight takes g3 check, forks the king and queen. So Magnus won a pawn and ended up converting this quite easily.
Yeah, he cleans up nicely here and ended up winning that match, of course, against Sasha Grishuk to reach the finals. But Hikaru Nakamura, the four-time U.S. champion, is no stranger to a lot of blitz and bullet games. Tell everybody what you feel is his biggest strengths that he's bringing to the table and how he played this position against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave.
Well, Hikaru Nakamura is one of the most resourceful players the world has ever seen. And in this position during live commentary, you and I were worried about White's kingside, but Hikaru was not. He made the shocking move pawn to f4, further opening his kingside, but importantly opening the g4 square for his bishop. And after MVL captured on f4, Hikaru went forth and won the queen. But even this wasn't so clear because this passed pawn on e3 and lots of compensation. But Hikaru found the killer shot, ending the game in a few moves with e5, opening the queen's diagonal, forcing the issue, and Hikaru showed off his defensive resources.
Yeah, that was amazing. I do remember being alongside you and being shocked about how quickly that game turned around. But we were not shocked. Everyone knows that Hikaru Nakamura, no one doubts his talent. And Chess 960 can really reveal how players play in sort of obscure positions. Take us through how quickly he converted this win against MVL.
Well, as you said, he's good in neutral positions where you're just fighting with your own mind, not opening preparation. And in this game, he made quick work of the Frenchman. And the point was that he pinned this knight on c6 and actually won a pawn after g3. There's no way to defend it. And after the queen came to c6 and the knight came to d5, checkmate was unstoppable on the c7 square. So MVL was forced to throw in the towel here after bishop b2, king b1 after just 12 moves.
Nothing like letting your opponent take a pawn with check and open up your king and then expecting them to resign on the spot. I think you did a very good job of taking us through the positive aspects of what both these players do, but we're looking forward to your keys to what the players need to avoid in our special Blunder of the Week edition coming up here in just a few moments. It's that time on ChessCenter where we bring on Alexandra Botez to keep Danny in check. So putting my bias aside, Alexandra, the question is the Chess.com Grandmaster Blitz Battle Championship and the event going down on Thursday between Carlsen and Nakamura really the biggest event ever to happen in online chess?
Well, Danny, that's a pretty bold claim to make. We have some serious competitors for the biggest event in online chess. Looking back, we had Kasparov versus the World, which drew in over 50,000 players from 75 countries. We also had the Chess.com hosted event with Anand versus the World, which also drew in over 20,000 participants. But putting format aside, these were both one player versus the world type formats. So I think the only comparable event went back to February of 2000 with the Kasparov Chess Grand Prix, which brought in some of the world's top players online and had a generous prize fund of $20,000, which ended up going to Jerome Pickett. But in terms of viewership, I do think we have a chance to become the most viewed online chess event of all time. Last time we had an event with Magnus Carlsen, we reached number 4th most viewed on the Twitch streams. So hopefully this time, with the help of chess.com viewers, we could take the number 1 spot.
If you build it, they will come. Let's hope the fans hear your call and show up on Thursday to do exactly what you just said. Make it the most viewed chess event in online history. We told the fans your keys to the match were coming, Robert. Let's not make them wait any longer. What do these players need to avoid doing in order to not get in trouble?
Well, Denny, for Hikaru Nakamura, it's essential that he converts winning positions because he likely won't get many of them against Magnus Carlsen. And as we see on the board here against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave in their semifinal matchup, he had to move pawn to h2, which is winning because after bishop to g2, king drops back to g7, and with the threat of bishop e4 looming, Hikaru is winning this position. Instead, in the game, he rushed and went king g7 immediately. And the problem here is that rook takes h7 is check, the king takes the rook, the bishop picks off the pawn on h3, and now black has no more winning chances, and the game ended in a draw. So on Hikaru's end, he needs to make sure he takes all the full points that are in his grasp.
That makes absolute sense. Playing the strongest player in the world, you better convert on the few opportunities you're given. But let's move on to the strongest player in the world and talk about some things that maybe Magnus Carlsen could learn from his previous match with Sasha Grishuk and what he should do better against Hikaru.
Well, Magnus Carlsen cannot underestimate his opponent, a 4-time U.S. champion. He looked like he rolled out of bed against Alexander Grishuk, and in the second game of their match, in the position at hand, Magnus was forced to go a bit crazy with pawn to f4, and Grishuk fended this off perfectly, brought his knight around to d7 and over to c5, and hit the weak queenside pawn. So for Magnus, do not underestimate Hikaru, one of the best online players of all time, and if he can take him seriously and get off to a good start, well, Magnus should be happy with his chances.
Yeah, that makes sense. Magnus getting off to a slow start may really come back to bite him. If we all know what's looming at the end of that match is the epic bullet showdown everyone's waiting for. If you haven't been watching Hikaru Nakamura play bullet on chess.com, he often finishes games with more time than he started with in these blitz battles because of the 1 second increment. So agreed with you, even though this game seems a little awkward. The point is Magnus can't afford to lose games early in the match because he may not get many wins in the bullet portion. So, Robert, phenomenal breakdown. I think the keys to the match will get everybody more excited if that's even possible. I don't even plan on sleeping the night before, and I will see you there for the live coverage.
We're here with Kaja Marie Snara, chess reporter from Norway, and still for TV2 actually. I think you are in the studio there, Kaja. Hi.
Hey, yeah, I'm sitting in a room where we edit, and right now I'm making a mini documentary about the World Championship match. So you can probably see Karjakin and Magnus in the back here. So I'm doing something on that.
Great, very exciting. We'll talk about that in the next ChessCenter actually, but let's talk about that other match first. Coming Thursday is, well, I think it is the biggest online chess event ever. Magnus Carlsen will play Hikaru Nakamura in the Blitz Battle final. Are you excited?
Yeah, I am. I'm very excited. I love the concept of them playing against each other online. And obviously, it's the two best bullet chess players in the world. So I think it's going to be intense, and I'm quite excited to see who's going to win it because I'm not too sure it's going to be Magnus.
Oh yeah, well you have maybe seen a bit of the previous matches. Magnus first was very impressive against Tigran Petrosyan, and then he also eliminated the reigning world blitz champion Alexander Grishuk.
Yeah,
so how did the Norwegian fans react to this? Because to me it looked very impressive.
Yeah, no, it hasn't been too much about it in the media because Magnus has been isolated from media for quite a long time now.
Okay.
And I think Norwegians mostly are looking forward to the World Championship match. But I think quite a few will follow Thursdays, what's going to happen then. And people are going to want to read into it, what Magnus's chess shape is looking like 2 weeks before the World Championship match. Yeah, it's going to be great to watch.
Yeah, Magnus will be coming out of his cave. He's of course also preparing for the match. Any idea from what location he will be playing this blitz battle?
I don't know exactly where he is. I know he's in the same time zone as New York. Probably somewhere warm. So maybe like down to Florida, somewhere around there.
Okay, very exciting. I think actually Sergei Karyakin might be quite close then to Magnus at the moment. But yeah, we'll see. And last question: are you going to watch? And yeah, you mentioned already your doubts. You feel Hikaru is actually a pretty strong and decent and maybe worthy enough opponent for the reigning world champion, right?
Definitely. Hikaru has proven that he's great at playing any kind of chess, but especially maybe bullet chess. Magnus is probably in a very classical chess mode right now with his preparations. But I definitely don't think he's taking this lightly. I think he wants to win anything he plays. And 2 weeks before the big match, it's important for him to get as much self-esteem as he can.
Okay, thanks Kaja Marie Snare for TV2 Norway at the moment, and we hope to see you back soon.
Yeah, thank you.
So many questions, hardly enough time. Nobody can wait any longer to get to this big championship match for the Grandmaster Blitz Battle Final. Mike Klein and I came up with a few, and we're going to start time trouble right now. Mike, go ahead and bat leadoff.
Danny, you're the analytics guy. Last time Magnus played on our site, we had 75,000 people tune in, 16,000 at the peak. Do you think we'll clear 100 big ones?
I think we will, despite Apple scheduling their new hardware keynote right at the exact same time. Gosh, I miss Steve Jobs. Hikaru Nakamura just got his first OTB win in classical play against Magnus Carlsen. Do you think that's going to have psychological carryover to this match here?
I don't think it matters much. By his own admission, he didn't play particularly well that game where he got the breakthrough. And you know what? He doesn't need any more confidence in online blitz. Now, Danny, he's known around the world as the #1 bullet player, hands down online. If he were to lose that segment, do you think that would do irreparable damage to him psychologically against Magnus?
All I can say is, as someone who picked him to win this match, I just don't think he's going to lose the bullet segment. But let's stay on the subject of segments. We have 5 minutes, 3 minutes, and then 1 minute. When it's all said and done, do you expect anybody to be able to win this match by 3 games or more?
You know, a lot of these blitz matches have long streaks of somebody winning 3, 4, 5 in a row. But I think these two players are much tougher mentally. They're not going to let that happen. So I don't see any sort of runaway coming up in the match. What about their opening choices? Do you think we're going to see a more theoretical argument or just some opening systems in the aim of quick play?
As much as I'd love to think this match is more important to Magnus than the World Championship, he is going to New York to play Sergei Karyakin. I think he's going to keep some openings in the bag. I doubt we'll see too much theory from the Norwegian. And on the note of Karyakin, do you think the Russian will be tuning in to check out this match?
I do, but not even as a scouting report, just as a fan. I mean, what top GM is going to miss this one? The bigger question is, does he want Magnus to win or lose? Does he want a proud Viking or a wounded dog going into the World Championship?
You know what? That's a great question. Do you want a happy or a dejected Magnus when you face off with him in New York? Only Sergei knows the answer. We're going to find out who's going to win this match on October 27th. Mike, thank you as always.
Thanks, Danny.
Robert, we told the fans it was coming. Your keys to the match and what the players need to avoid doing. Let's not make them wait any longer. Get started with the keys of Danny. Hey, Danny.
Love you, Danny.